Transmitting to you from Old Heart Radio.
There we go. It's another episode.
Oh wow!
I was trying to do my best evil voice.
Yeah, I was gonna break mine out later, but I don't know if I can replicate.
It's so great and so bad all at the same time.
So before we even talk about it later in the movie, one of the parts that was hilarious to me is that he uses that voice, and then later in the movie, the lieutenant character is like, yeah, it appears he's using a voice. It's like a voice alterator, a voice modulator, or whatever he says, and it's like, wow, I wonder how long it took you to deduce that.
Great detective work. Fucking goon, dude. Yeah. Dude, I was so caught off guard by that. That was so great. So as you figured, if you're listening along, this episode we're covering a wonderful 1980 movie called New Year's Evil.
Yeah. And it's coming off the heels of obviously Halloween, so it's around that time where they're just making all these different holiday themed movies. So it's it was bound to happen sooner or later.
Oh god, yeah. It was there was a big swing, I think. I don't know if it was a full-on miss, but it definitely was they were going for it in this movie. And I do think, I think it's funny that off the cuff of Halloween, which, in hindsight has become something so much bigger than just a horror movie on Halloween, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That when it came out, so many production companies and people were like, okay, what holiday horror can we make now? Because that one worked so well. And it's like, yeah, it did, but it's not every holiday needs a fucking horror movie. Have you ever seen, is there an Easter horror movie out there? Is there
well, there's movies that are it happens to be Easter, like Critters 2. There's more that I can't really, but there's not necessarily Attack of the Easter Bunny or or some shit like that. But
yeah.
Same with Thanksgiving. There's not, besides those awful Thanksgiving movies, there's plenty of, we obviously
gobble motherfucker. It's
terrible. We covered Blood Rage, which was centered, happened around Thanksgiving. But there's this New Year's Evil, there's April Fool's Day. There's a shitload of Christmas-themed horror movies.
Man.
But anyway,
that's true. The Christmas ones are usually pretty fucking great. That,
absolutely.
That's for fucking sure.
Absolutely. Did you happen to catch the actress that played Diane? She plays
off the top of my head.
She plays Pinky Tuscadero in Happy Days.
Oh shit! It's a good career move to jump into New Year's Evil. What's her name? Roz Kelly. That's what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, super random. But the movie sort of opens. You get introduced to her character. She's kind her makeup done, so you don't know necessarily who her character is yet, but she you assume that she's gonna play a big role, but before we really kind of find out what her part in this movie is, we follow up with like one of her assistants, named Yvonne. The movie kind of starts with her like entering her hotel room. She gets a phone call, and we learn that Diane's husband Richard isn't going to make it for the show, which angers Diane. Yvonne is doing her makeup in the mirror. It looks like her room to her door seems to open by like looks like someone's jiggling it, and it comes open. She checks the hallway.
Just really quick, there's like it's funny about this scene. So like Yvonne, like you said, is like doing her makeup and stuff and getting ready, but when you see the shot of like the door, jiggling and kind of opening, the do not disturb thing is like on the inside of the door.
On the inside, yeah.
You're like, ooh, that's not good. But yeah, you're right. Like she, it's like immediately you get the setup of like something's kind of fishy here.
Yeah, because she looks out in the hallway. She kind of sees someone near the end of the hallway carrying roses, which we learn who that is pretty shortly. But there doesn't seem to be anybody out there. So she heads back into into the bathroom, and like a little bit earlier, seemed like the tap in the shower was dripping, so she had turned it off.
Drip, drip, drip.
Oh my, not again. Oh wow. But she goes to turn it off a second time, and she gets grabbed by a gloved killer that pops open a switchblade, pulls her into the shower, and then the opening credits begin.
Oh yeah.
With a very interesting song. I'm not sure who made the song, but it's essentially, a rock song called New Year's Evil.
Yeah.
It opens with, just shots of, the busy streets of
LA, man.
LA. There's a bunch of punks in a car, that are drinking and driving, and there's a titty flash. So
yeah, it's like there's like 8 or 9 of these fucking punk teens, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And they're like yelling at every car, like flipping people off and stuff, and like they're pretty radical, that bunch. Just real quick, the random New Year's Evil song, I've never heard of this band, but apparently it's done by a group called Shadow.
They're also
and Shadow does like a handful of other tracks in this soundtrack as well. I think they're actually the ones that are performing later on in the movie.
They're one of the ones. They're one of the bands that's performs in the movie. It's Shadow, and then the other one is like it has Japan. It's like Hello Japan or something like that.
I'm looking at Made in Japan.
Made in Japan, and they're both like new wave bands because we'll get to that in a second, obviously, but Diane is like the host of some sort of like new wave radio broadcast. So yeah. I've never heard of either of those bands.
No, neither have I. I don't know if I'd look them up any further than this. Unless New Year's Evil is like streaming somewhere, then that might be a fun jam. That song's absurd.
It is. It is.
But yeah, you basically end up following the teens to a venue, which is kind of like one of the main settings of the show. But there's this great moment where they get confronted by a police officer who's like the doorman, and he likes to repeat all the dude does is like repeat the line, "Tickets." Got tickets. And he says it like in the same tone, in the same cadence, like multiple times. It was like that was like his break. I feel like that was that guy's breakthrough role. He's like, I'm gonna make it big after this. I gotta nail this line. But the classic moment that I love, I have one somewhere. The punk walks up to the cop and like pulls out what what looks like a switchblade, and then flips it open right next to him. It's a fucking switchblade comb, and he like slicks back his hair somewhere.
Yeah. I remember those things. I remember those, man, when those were like trendy. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I have one. I used to have a small one that was like only a couple inches big, and it was a mustache switchblade comb. That one was fucking dope. I wish I still
That's
had it.
cool.
I lost it. I'd use it regularly. I was like, got to part the
But
seed,
yeah.
baby.
The punks show up to the hotel where this show is going on, and then we kind of follow back. We go back to Diane, who's talking to her another one of her associates. You're led to believe that maybe he's like her manager, Ernie.
Yeah.
They're talking about ratings when Diane's son Derek, who was the one briefly seen earlier with the flowers, shows up in her hotel room. He's trying to talk to her and get her attention. He's happy about it's not specified if it's a movie or a TV role, but he got a role in Spaceship America, and he's very happy about this. But Diane seems kind of busy. She's kind of ignoring him.
Yeah, she don't got time for that shit.
Kind of just tells him, we'll talk about it later. Essentially.
This bit, yeah. I mean, you could tell, yeah, from this scene alone, like they definitely don't have the best relationship. It seems like, but yeah, it's funny because like at this point, like he just like has this like Derek just has this like endlessly sulking looking like expression on his face, like he's just a fucking sad boy there. But he all anyway, so like Diane aka Blaze gets it's the fucking name of an American gladiator over here.
Yeah.
They have a brief conversation, like you mentioned, and like he mentions that he's all like upset about his dad not being able to make it and stuff. She invites him to come watch the show. He's like, "Nah, I'm just gonna stay here, watch it on the tube," because back then people called the TV the tube.
Yeah,
I remember that too.
The boob tube, yeah.
The boob tube, yeah, dude. But then, I mean, this basically like takes it down to the scene of the show, which is this like wild ruckus.
Yeah, the Hollywood Hotline is the name of her countdown show of new wave rock.
Yeah, the crowd's already going wild because they're like, like they're just constantly, moving. They introduce her as the first lady of rock, Blaze.
Oh my god!
I was like, what? And then they introduce kind of like the idea of what's happening, where it's like they're celebrating New Year's Eve, like the stroke of midnight in multiple different time zones, starting in New York. Then there's one in Chicago.
Yep.
One in Aspen, which is that one's the random one. The one
it
when
is
they show
very
clips of that.
yeah.
It's like people skiing down a snow hill.
Compared to California, New York, and Chicago, it is kind of the odd man out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and obviously then like the West Coast with LA and I think near the end of the movie, you hear the shout out to the Honolulu time,
right?
So yeah, it's actually kind of an interesting idea. It'd be kind of a cool show, but the other thing is they have like the whole Hollywood hotline thing is like a phone bank where people can call in and I suppose like request songs or something, or maybe just like say some sort of commentary.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first phone call seems to be fine. It's somebody voting for, oh my god, what was the
Pink
song?
Floyd.
Yeah, we don't need no education. Yeah, and so the second call though is where the movie starts taking its turn. That's when you first. I can't even do a good voice.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, we get our first call from Evil, and it's like we just see this like, kind of normal looking guy in a phone booth. But he's using something to alter his voice, and he's like, This is Eva. I can't
Yeah.
I can't do it either.
Eva.
But basically,
it's like it might as well have like 3 or 4 E's every time
Yeah,
you say it.
that's how I wrote
Eva.
that's how I wrote it down. But basically, he tells her that he has this like New Year's resolution, as he puts it, to commit murder at midnight, and he's going to kill someone close to her, and that's their first conversation.
Yeah. Which is kind of wild. It just jumps right into the serial killer aspect. You know, you saw somebody die earlier, but like to really be introduced to the killer like right away, it was kind of interesting.
And see what they look like, and not like they're not wearing a mask or anything. So yeah, you're kind of like thrown off guard by that. But yeah, so Shadow, the band we're talking about, they take the stage. Diane has a conversation with Ernie about, you know, wanting police protection, and then we see Evil leaving the payphone he was in, and he heads towards the Crawford Sanitarium.
Oh yeah, that was I mean, it was kind of you know, I don't know if like was there like reference for the sanitarium like
later in the movie.
Okay. Yeah, you see this dude like somebody that works there like really aggressively throwing some stuff away in a trash can, and then he like hauls it out. Like, and you know, as he hauls it out, you see somebody sneak past him in the dark, you know, and then you know, like you know, it's the person's carrying. You're led to believe that this is obviously the evil character.
Well, duh, yeah.
And you know, he's carrying like a boombox tape recorder thing. Not really a boombox, it's more just a recorder. And you like we mentioned earlier, you just straight up see his face. Like you know, they're not really hiding him.
Right.
You know, this is like as he enters, this is also dispersed with, of course, patients in the sanitarium watching Shadow rock out on the tube. You know, like,
yeah,
like it's this is a bizarre scene, but you know, Evil ends up he has a costume on, basically looking like one of the workers there. And he runs right into what's her name, the nurse,
Nurse Robbie,
yeah, who like, you know, lights up a stove, and she's like walking down the hall, and then, you know, discovers him, and he's just like, I'm the extra help for the night or something like that.
Right.
Isn't suspicious at all.
Yeah, he's like, I was sent over from county as temporary help.
Yeah.
I need a tour of this place. But then he pulls out a bottle of champagne and is like, just like the balls on this guy. You know?
I know, dude.
And it's like, hey, is there like someplace private, you know, that we can enjoy this together before I punch in?
Yeah. Maybe this isn't going to be such a bad New Year's after all. It's so ridiculous. And I gotta be honest, the actor playing Evil, who's posing as Jeff Winters right now.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's like, he's just like, I don't know, his face is so disarming in so many ways. Like, I just couldn't help but laugh at his expressions all throughout this movie.
Yeah, he's not really like a very threatening, seeming or looking person, but yeah, they pop champagne and they start to dance. Then it kind of follows up back at, you know, a little bit back at the hotel, where Ernie introduces Diane to Lieutenant Clayton and Sergeant Green. You know, she basically, you know, they kind of talk about, you know, at first,
like, yeah. Well, because she wants help, like figuring out that phone call and stuff, but they seem kind of dismissive, right? Like
that's what I'm saying. Like at first, you know, they're like, well, you know, based on your show, like you shouldn't be surprised getting a call like this.
What does that fucking mean?
Yeah, I know, right? She has to like basically beg them to take it seriously, and they tell her, you know, hey, if he calls again, you know what I mean, keep him on the phone. We're gonna try to trace the call.
Classic police move.
Yeah. And Diane then has like calls Derek, her son. He's kind of hesitant to answer, but eventually does. She asks, yeah, he's weird.
Derek's like one of the weirdest characters, even including Evil. Derek is one of the weirdest fucking characters in this movie.
Yeah, we see some of that here shortly because she asks if he's seen Yvonne. He tells her no. He also tells her that, you know, Dad's line is still busy. He tells her that he has something important to tell her, but she kind of ends the call. You know, she has to go, so she ends the call.
And then you see him take like 3 random like pills off the counter, and he ingests them. But it doesn't seem to have any. There's nothing that like really follows up on that. Like it's like he takes these pills, and you don't really like. I don't know. Maybe it's just because you don't know the character, but you don't see him like have any effect from it. Like that, you know. He acts weird either way, but.
Yeah,
it was just super random. I was like, it's kind of unnecessary to show him like popping pills, like
unless they're trying to like maybe.
No,
like,
I mean he's a troubled boy.
Yeah, because you know maybe you're led to assume that you know he's taking these pills because he has some sort of like mental health. I don't know, but yeah, it's a good point.
I mean, granted, this is a movie from like we said, 1980, and within the first 2 minutes of the movie, Blaze tells her manager to relax and take a lewd. So you know, it's like,
oh yeah.
I guess wow. I'm overthinking it at this point.
I forgot about that. Yeah. That's right.
But yeah.
But yeah, so we go back to the sanitarium, and Evil and the nurse seem to be, you know, they're kissing.
Oh, yeah.
She talks about, you know, he tries to like take her top off, and she's like, I barely know you. And I forget what he says, but he's like, what does he say? Wow, it's just fun. It's just funny. It's just funny because she's like, you know, basically is like, I'm not that type of girl. And then he says one line, and then she's.
So I know what you're saying. So she says that, and he's just like, does it matter? And she goes,
oh yeah.
She goes, tonight, no. And he just like, and then it just like immediately like lays her down on this like bed next to them or whatever, and starts like motorboating her, basically, like gets right up in her titties, like it's like ridiculous.
It's hilarious. Yeah, she's like, I'm not that type of girl, and then like 1 second later, like, but tonight I am. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Like while you're working at the sanitarium or whatever, I just love that, the complete disregard. Tonight, no.
Hey, yeah.
Hey, man.
But yeah. He like lays her down on, you know, maybe like a operating bed or something.
Yeah.
And we learn that it's close to midnight in Times Square. You know, the guests at the sanitarium are watching the TV. They got party hats on and whistles. And then, you know, there's about 40 seconds to go, and Evil reaches back and hits 2 buttons on his recorder.
Yeah.
20 seconds, 15 seconds. He would just for a switchblade. There's a cool shot of the shadow against the wall as the switchblade opens. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, wham! He just fucking starts stabbing her over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn. Okay.
Well, yeah, and you catch like the shot as he's like stabbing. You know, each time his hand comes up and the blade in his hand is a little bit bloodier.
Yeah, because you don't actually watch her get stabbed. You know.
No. And I think that's kind of like sometimes you know. Well, and this is like what the second stab kill we've had so far in the movie. Then, you know, and that does seem to be his weapon of choice, I suppose. But yeah, it's like you know, kind of intermixed with like shots of people, you know, blowing horns and like celebrating, and you know, it does like drift from that into just like the rowdiness at the hotel. So it's just like it's kind of a quick thing, You know, but I like
Mhm.
the shot though. I like the shot of the switchblade kill in this one.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, then we go back and, Diane's back on the phone again, and Evil calls her, and he tells her that he just made his first kill right on schedule, midnight Eastern Standard Time, to
Yeah.
be to be perfectly specific, and then tells her to listen to the replay, and he plays the recording of you can hear the nurse's scream, and you can hear the sound of him stabbing her.
Yeah.
Tells her that she'll hear from him in an hour, and that when the police will find the body. Yeah. So you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, for like I was joking about earlier, for as unthreatening as this person seems to come off, like what a menacing fucking thing to do. To like not only call and like be like, yeah, I just killed somebody, but then to have like recorded and replay the sound for the person on the phone. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and this kind of you do see another nurse at the sanitarium walk down the hall, and she eventually discovers the body.
Yeah.
And it's like the body, the body was like stuffed into, I don't know, like the closet of the room that they were getting groovy in, and it looks like even in this shot, it looks like her throat was also slashed, which might, maybe just happened post or something, but so obviously this freaks the other nurse out, but then you cut to follow up with what Derek's doing, and Derek's up to some weirdness in this scene.
Yeah. Like I mentioned earlier with the whole pills thing, like it's established here that he's got some problems.
Oh yeah, he also has a switchblade. Which is, if you think about it, after watching this movie, perhaps a bit of a foreshadowing.
Okay, absolutely, yeah.
But he's like, so he kind of like he's like playing with like some pantyhose or something like that, and he like cuts it, and then he's like biting it.
It's red pantyhose by the hose. Yeah.
And yeah, he's like biting it and shit, and then he like pulls it over his head, and he's just like, yeah, it's all like he's doing this all in a mirror.
He also pierces, like takes something and like rams it through the pantyhose and through his ear, like piercing his ear with it and like sticking the pantyhose to him.
Yeah, it looks like just like he takes like a safety pin or something, and it's bizarre. And it
fuck, and we get a quick shot of Diane like on stage dancing as the band is performing, and then we cut back to Derek, and it continues with him trying to call his dad, continuing to get a busy signal, and then he starts ripping at the bouquet of roses and like ripping the rosebuds out, and you're just like, what the fuck is wrong with this kid?
Yeah, dude. I mean, clearly he's got some like parental issues, because the entire time it also shows that he's watching Blaze, his mom, on the show, and so like he's like clearly he's feeling abandoned or something, maybe unnoticed to some degree, but
right.
And you do actually kind of find out a little bit more perhaps where he's coming from later on in the movie.
Totally.
But yeah, like and again, this is all like there's music ripping over the top of this, and you're getting shots of the activity at the event and everything.
Yep.
And then it kind of drifts back into following up with what Evil's doing, and he seems to be prepping him. He has. I'll give him this. He has like endless costumes. Like the dude tries to go as incognito as possible. Like in this one, you see him like prepping a fake mustache, and he puts it on, and he's like clearly wearing a different suit and outfit. And, and it's just a kind of a quick moment, but before it drifts back into like following up with a conversation with Blaze and the detective who informs her that they did find a nurse carved up.
Yep.
You know, and they still don't know the whereabouts of Yvonne in this scene, although Blaze does try and figure that out.
Yeah.
And so like then you kind of go, it looks like, you know, a different New Year's Eve party, perhaps another bar somewhere in LA, and Mr.
Well, no, now he's in Chicago.
Are you saying that he drove
Yes,
across the United States in one
that is the most illogical part of the movie, is that he started out in New York, did the kill there, now he's in Chicago. That's what I'm 100%.
I honestly didn't pick that up about this movie. That makes,
or maybe not. No,
even more improbable.
I think I'm wrong.
I have no idea, but I hope that that's the case, because that would make this movie fucking bonkers.
I think I'm wrong. I think that he's just killing. I think he's. Okay, I'm wrong. You're right. He's in LA. I don't know why I thought that. He's in LA, but he's just killing someone at the stroke of each midnight in these different time zones. So, excuse me, you're right. He is in LA. But yeah, he seems to be at another bar. He cozies up to the bar and sees these two girls at the other end.
He's smoking a little cigarello, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that. I was like, this fucking chump over here, man. Anyway, yeah, he finds like a couple of ladies that he's sort of like, hey,
but yeah,
it's 9:30.
Yeah, because one of them gets asked to dance, so he, smoothly walks up to the other one, lights her cigarette, asks her what time it is, and then has probably, in my opinion, the absolute best line of the movie. He talks about how he has a party to attend at Eric Estrada's house.
Yeah, dude. What a name drop, dude. It was so random. The question I had after that was, I wonder if Eric Estrada has watched this and did he either appreciate it, or was he mad that they used his name in this movie?
Yeah.
This guy, but just what a random, yeah, dude. Maybe it's because this must have been the time period where Chips was just like fucking dominating the TV stations. But
dude, I was almost in tears laughing at that.
So ridiculous.
Yeah, he tells her that he's his business manager.
Yeah, I handle investments instead.
Yeah, and then he invites her along, and takes a second, but she ultimately agrees and tells him that she has to use the restroom, but that she's going to meet him at the front. Then we cut back to the hotel, and Shadow's set seems to have come to a close, and now Made in Japan starts their set, and they start playing a song called Dumb Blondes, which wasn't half bad.
No, I will say this, I think that the theme song New Year's Evil by Shadow was kind of sort of campy enough for me to laugh at, but some of the other tracks on here were kind of I was like, oh dang, dude, that's kind of dope. And it was I think really clever of them to do the Dumb Blonde song along with this sequence, where he's picking up these ladies in the bar who are, well, this one lady is blonde,
and and by some of the conversation, that's a really good point, because he Evil's outside waiting for her, and we don't know if we never.
He's sorry. He's standing all fucking Joe Cool, flicking a lighter on and off, waiting for her, looking like a real fucking schmuck, dude.
Especially with the fake mustache and the suit he's wearing. Yeah,
exactly. The fake mustache just made it all the more hilarious.
It was great.
It was so.
But we never actually learn her name. But she comes up and tells him that her friend's coming along with her, because why would she go alone with someone she just met, and so she brings her friend Elisa along. They hop in his Mercedes and start cruising. But we cut back to Diane, who is now, listening back to Evil's last recording. And this is the scene I'm talking about where the lieutenant is like, oh, he seems to be using a voice processor.
It's that kind of deduction work or, police work that got him the badge in the first place. The fucking ridiculous.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, she, and then one of her other colleagues comes up and tells her, they're coming up on the Chicago feed. And then we cut back to what's going on with Evil. They're cruising.
He's like listening to her friend talk all about what, the first thing I did when I got here was go to the ocean or whatever, stuff like that.
Yeah, oh man.
But he looks like he looks like he's getting increasingly annoyed and like slightly agitated, particularly when it shows him noting the time.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're supposed to be there by 10, damn it, or whatever,
Yeah, and she continues to be slightly annoying, talking about transcendental meditation and writing, and she pronounces haikus wrong. She talks about writing. It's just some really, really bizarre dialogue, but I think, and I didn't notice this until you just pointed it out, but like you said, the Made in Japan plays the song Dumb Blondes, and then there's this scene. So they're kind of cruising along, and Elisa asks if they can make a pit stop. So they stop at a liquor store, and he hands Lisa some cash and tells her to buy the goddamn biggest bottle of champagne they got.
Yeah, dude. And the whole sequence of her going into the store and like buying the bottle of champagne is fucking strange, man. Like, there's some bad acting throughout this movie, but this scene has the worst acting in the whole movie, if you ask me. Or maybe it was just cut really strange. I don't know. Either way, it's fucking wacky. But he sends her in, but what happens to the other lady?
Well, so they're in the car, and the radio broadcast, we learn that there's 15 seconds and counting to midnight in Chicago. So he hits record on his radio. Then he reaches for this like item wrapped in plastic and asks her if she wants to smoke a number, which is a phrase I've never heard for asking someone if they want to smoke pot. That was a phrase I've never heard before.
He's like, I got some great Colombian stuff here.
Yeah. He opens this like fucking sack of weed and is like, here, take a whiff. And she leans in to smell, and then he just wraps the sack around her head and strangles her to death.
Yeah.
Also, we forgot to mention that one of the things that gets brought up randomly in this car ride conversation is her friend's diarrhea. And
oh my God.
At one, like when she goes inside, like right before he like shows her this great Colombian stuff that he's got. She goes, I wonder if her diarrhea's back.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so fucking random. But yeah, dude, like he does, like, I mean, I would, like, if you've ever done the ill-advised thing and put a plastic bag over your head, you know how awful that suffocation can be without even like somebody really strangling you over it. Like,
oh yeah.
that would suck so fucking bad, man.
Yeah.
Like, but
yeah,
so then this scene happens that I was talking about right before this, where like, her friend is like getting rung up for the bottle of champagne, and the cashier like rings her up, and then like, it's like trying, says like some pleasantries or whatever, and then there's just this like, pause, and she just like, then it shows her friend just nodding her head in response. No words, and then the guy's just like, okay, have a good night or whatever. Like, it's like fucking strange, man.
It's almost like they didn't want to pay her, like they could pay her less if she didn't like have much dialogue.
Lines.
Yeah. But yeah, so she exits the liquor store after that very awkward, awful scene, and obviously, she notices the car is gone, but she happens to find one of her. She sees a heel lying on the ground, so she picks it up. She, starts walking towards the corner of the store, finds another heel, and then she notices that her friend's dress is like hanging out of the dumpster. So she starts tugging on it.
Yeah, and then you
What
get
happened?
you get a really great shot right here where she like opens the dumpster, and then you see, a lighter flick on, and fake mustachioed Evil is like in the dumpster, like. And
It's
it's like
great.
it's a cool shot, but then he like pulls her in, or whatever, and yeah, it was actually kind of cool.
And then there's a cool shot where like he yanks her in, and as she's screaming, you just get this like the camera just focuses on the side of the dumpster.
Yeah.
So it's like another like off-screen death, but it's pretty sweet. And then we like instantly go to Diane, who is on the phone with Evil again. And she calls him a sick son of a bitch, and that he needs to stop this. And Evil is like lighting up his smoke while this is happening. He just replies, "Shut up, bitch."
Yeah, but it has that voice modulation.
Yeah.
Shut up, bitch, or whatever. It's like so fucking funny.
Yeah,
I can't take him seriously.
And then he goes, this is his word. He goes, "You just tell the cops that I took out the trash from my last party, Ventura and Laurel Canyon." So yes, you're right. He is in LA because Ventura is very much, a part of LA. So we see that the police are listening in, and he also says that it was a real swinger before hanging up. And then he goes to his trunk, starts taking off like what he was wearing. A cop drives by him, and we follow up with them as they, pull up to the dumpster. They get jump scared by a cat, and then they end up like going around the side of the building. They open up a nearby gate, and it's a real cool shot where one of the cops, it's like dark out, and he like goes into this backyard. You see the flashlight pan up, and we get this great shot of the dead strangled girl with her body on a swing.
Yeah.
And then furthermore, they continue to search the surroundings. They see a purse by a slide, and as they bend down to pick up the purse, Lisa's body comes sliding down the slide, and you see that she has a knife wound just above her breast. So it was a pretty cool, like we said, like that one kill was off screen, but we get this great shot of like their posed bodies.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's what I mean. Like, there, it was kind of, fun to have those sprinkled in here, especially the first girl. Like, the first girl looked like creepy because the bag was still on the head. There clearly like she had been bloodied a bit, and like like you said, she was just kind of like wrapped up in the swing that was like, so she was like hanging there almost. It
was great. It was great. Yeah. Then we get a quick follow up at the hotel, where the police get the call about the two victims, and one of them, predicts that he's stalking his 11 o'clock victim now. Then we see Evil driving, and he's in a different outfit. He's got a pair of glasses on. He's in a priest's robe. And you're like, what?
Dude, this is the third costume so far. Costume change is necessary, man, when you're going on a killing spree.
He put some thought into it. I'll give him that.
Yeah. But he's like waiting in his Mercedes, waiting at a stoplight, and then I don't know, 3 or 4 bikers pull up on either side of him, and one of them just flips him off and says, something something. What did he say? He's like, he calls him Padre or whatever while he's flipping him off. And Evil, he doesn't seem to like. I don't think it was his intention for this to happen, but it happened. You know, where he ends up ramming the fucking bikes and knocking, you know, one or two over. I can't remember. And you know, as the bikers all like start freaking out and like banging on his car and stuff, he like you know, reverses and tries to like flee the scene, and the bikers, you know, chase after him on their motorcycles.
Yeah, that's like you said, you know, this wasn't part of his plan.
No.
You know,
this leads them to a drive-in, right? Like that was
it's a cool setting, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and he heads into a drive-in, they follow him, he parks, and there's previews for horror movies, which was a nice touch.
Yeah.
Seems to be like some sort of horror double feature. We get a quick shot of these two, you know, teens that are smoking a joint in the back of a car, and the guy's trying to score. So yeah, we get this setup now of like, you know, Evil had to make a, you know, this wasn't his plan. So, you know, he's clearly in a situation that he didn't plan for. You know, he gets out of the car, walks away, and like literally seconds later, he looks back and there's a group of the bikers like surrounding his car, like smashing it. And then he runs into the original biker, the one that fucking flipped him off and mocked him.
Yeah. Yeah. They, you know, like I said, they end up like, you know, confronting each other, and he's like trying to sell the biker. Like, he's like, I'm a man of God. I'm not, you know, yeah. Like, and then as he's doing that, then he ends up pulling out his switchblade and fucking shanking the dude. Like, yeah. And you know, I mean, I assumed he killed him. I'm not really sure.
Oh yeah, totally.
You know, but yeah, and then and then you kind of like have another quick moment with the two, you know, teens or young adults or whoever the fuck they are. You know, the dude's like just like it's so random too, like the whole sequence, because right before Evil runs up, they're like smoking a J, and he's just like rubbing her titties.
He says something like you know, it's like tries to like say some line about like fucking, and she's like, no, not tonight, or something like that.
Yeah, dude, it's so ridiculous. But yeah, then evil like runs up and you know, does he stab the dude?
No, he yanks
him out of the car.
Yeah, he yanks the male out of the car, and then fucking jumps in and drives off with the girl still in the back seat.
Yeah, that's right. And this is kind of cut with like a few sequences from the Aspen, Colorado celebration. You see some more live music, and you see like it's literally like whatever the fuck they're doing in Aspen is like it's just like a bunch of people with candles going down a ski hill.
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess I don't know enough about Colorado folk to say if that's what they do or not.
Yeah, the most I know about Aspen I learned from Dumb and Dumber. So
yeah. Yes.
But yeah, it's 5 minutes away. It's approaching you know, New Year's in Aspen, and it's 5 minutes away at this point.
Yeah.
So
and then you kind of, you know, you follow back up with Evil. He's you know, driving the car with the girl in the back. She's, you know, pleading to, you know, with him to let her out and to figure out what he wants. He's like, if you want money, I don't have it. Like,
yeah.
You know?
And then she continues with, I'll do anything you want. We can even get it on if you want to. I won't make any kind of fuss.
Yeah, dude. Jeez.
Which, I mean, honestly, you know, if I was, fuck, dude, I don't know. You know,
man, if somebody put me in that position, I suppose I'd offer to fuck them. I guess. Like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What do you want, man? You want to fuck me, or should I fuck you? I don't know. Just let me out of the car. But yeah, you know, eventually she does. I believe she does. You know, get away, because he almost runs into some like party goers like walking in the middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that he, you know, of all the things that happened in this night, he like, you know, stops the car to avoid hitting them.
Yeah,
yeah. Fucking murdering people and shit left and right. Like, why does it fucking matter?
No shit. He could have just blasted him and kept going. But yeah, he fucking. It's random. Yeah, he stops. She runs out. She gets away. He kind of chases her through like an area with some trees. He comes across some bleachers and he's like trying to scare her. He's like tapping the switchblade on it a few times. Yeah. And we hear we see that, you know, police have showed up. One of them starts heading his direction. And the girl seems to be hiding under, you know, a nearby structure, which I would assume is like wherever like this the announcer for the baseball games, or, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah.
He kicks over he kicks over a garbage can that rolls like over next to where she's hiding under. So you get this like real tense moment where he like creeps closer, you know, but as he's about to, you know, find her, this policeman runs up and Evil, you know, runs off and has to abandon, you know, his next kill that he had planned for the next stroke of midnight.
Yeah, man, ruined his cleverly laid out plan. Yeah, it's like you said, it mentioned it is kind of a tense scene. Yeah, and so like, you know, having that been averted, you kind of cut back to the hotel. You see some more police like running into the hotel. The detective gets on the mic in the main room and like basically tells everybody that nobody's going to be allowed it back in or whatever.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, you know, who's there is stuck there first.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. He talks about like, you know, all access to this floor has been sealed off. Yeah. You know, and the crowd basically the whole time is just, you know, heckling him. They call him a pig.
Yeah, somebody in the crowd just yells like, "We don't want to hear your shit, pig." It's just
God.
Just ridiculous. All the while, I mean, yeah, if you do think about it, it's like the dude's just trying to keep you fucking people safe, man. Like,
Yep.
but yeah.
Then we get introduced to, it's like super random because this character is literally only here for this like one scene to kind of drop some like you know, some like medical to like psychological medical terms, because we get introduced to Dr. Reed, who is apparently the police's consulting psychologist, and you know, he talks about the possibility of a killer being there at midnight. You think?
Yeah.
And
because
then
he has a tendency or whatever to kill at midnight, and it's like, Jesus, dude, like yeah, thanks for fucking catching us up on that, you dingus. Like,
he continues on to talk about how killing her would satisfy his egotistical desire for attention, and then references the Son of Sam and the Zodiac killer, and that he thinks the killer has a mother fixation. But it's like he's literally just there for this like 2-minute scene to say all that, and then he's not in the movie ever again. So you're like, why, you know, that it wasn't really an important scene.
Yeah. Also, when he's talking about that, like the whole, you know, mother fixation and thing, and you have these cut shots of fucking Derek, dude, who's like lingering nearby, and he has like some mod, like, or not even mod, he has like some like Devo looking fucking sunglasses on. Somehow they're underneath the like red pantyhose that he had shoved on his face earlier. Like, it's just like, what is fucking happening?
Yeah, it's bizarre, dude.
It's so weird. Oh, it's so fucking weird. But yeah, you're right. Like the consulting psychologist was there just to drop some knowledge. He cracked an egg of knowledge on him, and then, you know, that was
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe the police department couldn't afford to pay him more or something.
Yeah, my job.
Rates are damn high.
I'm gonna tell you some you know, information that you probably could have figured out on your own, but you're welcome. Yeah. My job here is done. You know?
Yeah, I'm gonna wash my hands of this situation. Let's keep going. I got a New Year's party at Eric Estrada's house to get to.
But yeah, so speaking of his, genius theory, we see that, evil has shown up. Evil gets dropped off out front. He notices, that the police are at the front entrance. So he heads around, to the back entrance.
Yeah. He's like in the parking garage or something like that.
Yeah. And he notices that there's a pair of cops at that entrance too, but one heads in, leaving, one police officer there. And
I'm not sure if it's because if this is like extra funny to me because he's wearing like a priest's outfit still, but he's like, hiding behind like one of the, pillar or part of a wall in the parking garage, and to distract the one cop who stayed out there, or to lure him closer, he just goes, "Hey officer, can you give me a hand? I think I found a drunk." It's just like, what? But
right.
And then while the officer's walking closer to where he heard the voice, you see Evil like reach down and pick up this convenient brick that's just leaning nearby.
Yeah, it was pretty well placed, if you ask me.
Yeah. I was like, that was very good. And he ends up like doming the fucking dude. And then next thing you see is that he's like, one of the next things you see is him in that police officer's uniform.
Yeah. What was funny though? The police officer was clearly like a chubbier, bigger dude.
I was just thinking that.
But the fucking police uniform just perfectly fits him.
Oh yeah, dude. It looks like a tailored police outfit on Evil here. Yeah, I was just like, there's just no way.
It's just sometimes things like that bother me. They really shouldn't, but just continuity issues like that, it's hilarious.
You're just because to me it's like, if you think about wardrobe on set, it's like, so did they literally spent the money on two police uniforms rather than just making it the one? Clearly the other dude didn't need it after this scene.
Right.
I guess.
But yeah, he's once again he seems to have found a perfect disguise.
Yeah, and that's costume number 4.
Yeah, and this one also comes complete with a handgun, which is pretty.
That's good.
So he heads inside. Then we have another. So he heads. Not only does he head inside, but he goes up the elevator, and then comes across a trunk full of clothes and starts to change again. So you're dude, this guy had this shit planned out. Whoever this guy is had this shit planned out pretty well.
Yeah. Also, I mean, we just have to say, that's costume number 5 right there. He's cycling through characters so fucking fast.
It's one of the cool parts of the movie, I would say.
It is kind of funny because so often you get not knocking Michael Myers whatsoever, because if you've listened that we love Halloween more.
Oh yeah.
More than anything. But you get so often people just doing the killer in a jumpsuit or something, stalking everybody all night, and so it's a fun element, but it's just sort of whoa, dude. But yeah, so as he's changing, you kind of follow up with Blaze, who is asking another police officer to follow her, or to go up to her room with her so she can change or whatever.
She actually, she's having a conversation with Ernie and her makeup artist, and she tells him that she's going to go down to her room to change, and the makeup artist offers to go with her.
Oh, that's right.
But she declines, and it's the police officer that's actually hey, you're not going anywhere alone, and tells her that he heard over the radio that one of his guys is knocked out cold down in the garage, and that the killer could be loose in the building somewhere. So he escorts her to her room.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and they get to her room, they head in, and he goes into the bedroom in the hotel room first, yells freeze, and then we see that it's Derek who's still in the room. So
Derek just like kind of sprawled out on the bed a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you know, Derek's like obviously upset with his mom, you know, she for not, you know, being there for him in a way, but you know, she's like, and she's trying to combat that with, you know, like, I've been busy all night, you know. He eventually gets, you know, he's so upset he leaves the room.
Yeah.
And you know, then this prompts Blaze or Diane, you know, to, you know, let the officer ask the officer to wait outside of the room while she changes, you know.
Which is fair.
Yeah. Well, but then, I mean, this whole part was like really like I didn't know what was gonna happen right here.
Oh yeah, not at all.
Because she sits down in front of the mirror and is like, you know, doing some, you know, rubbing some makeup on it or whatever. I don't know what she's fucking doing. She's like, you know, just taking herself in, and behind her you see this person in a fucking creepy looking mask, with a switchblade in his hand. So you're clearly like, this has got to be evil, right? And
don't forget to mention he's wearing a tracksuit.
Evil just came off the fucking tennis court with this.
Yeah.
And he, like, you know, so you get this scare where you're just like, holy shit, is she gonna fucking die right now? And then he peels the mask off, and you get introduced to the fact that he's her fucking husband.
Yeah.
Rich right here, man. You're just like, what the fuck, dude? That like threw me for a fucking loop.
You didn't see it coming, you know?
I really didn't. As funny and corny as this movie has been at times, like that was like, I was like, that was a good fucking like twist to me.
Yeah. Because they, you know, I completely agree. So they, you know, they embrace. He tells her that he's going to identify himself to the cop. You know, she assures the cop who it is. You know, then he tells her that it was actually Derek's idea for the surprise. You know, she brings up Yvonne missing and about the lunatic being after her, and she asks him to find Derek and talk to him. And that she'll see them both after the show. So as he's leaving the room, though, the cop was like, you know, this place is locked down. How'd you get? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
He's like, you know, this place is locked down. How'd you get in here? And Richard tells him that her agent Ernie okayed it. And as he's walking off, you see the cop, like, you know, pick up his walkie and you know, asked to talk to Lieutenant Clayton.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, because I mean that would be fishy. That officer is probably the smartest officer on the force in this movie, at least presented in this movie, if you ask me. Yeah, you know, and so that, you know, this kind of like, you follow Evil back to like that well-placed trunk that he went to for his 5th costume change earlier in the movie. And it happens to be right below this like power box that I guess controls not only like this television and camera setup that he uses, but also controls the elevator itself, as we see. And so it, you know, and he like, it's so funny watching him like tinker with this thing, because it's literally like he like grabs like a screwdriver and like a random generic wire and clips it onto something and like pokes his screwdriver into it and like sparks to life.
Yeah, because you know, he you know, we see that he hooks up. You know, there's a camera in the elevator, and so you're like, I wonder, you know, where this is going to lead. So, you know, Lieutenant Clayton is on the phone. He's talking, or sorry, Lieutenant Clayton like gets off the phone, and then he talks to Ernie about how Richard's abandoned Mercedes was found at the drive-in, that the driver knifed a biker and escaped in a stolen car with the girl hostage. And then he also tells him that Richard was at one point a patient at the sanitarium.
That's what it was. That's the connection. Yeah.
And then Sergeant Green comes up, and Ernie tells him he's like hell I let him in. I knew I always thought he was a psycho. So shit's starting to happen here, and then we see Diane and the Sergeant Green get in the elevator and head up. And
they have one of the best conversations in this elevator. So like you see Evil like watching them on the camera, so he's watching, but their conversation it's worth noting because it's like, they're just trying to do some pleasantries. You married? She like asked him like if he's married, and he's like, yeah. You got any kids? And he's like, 2 sets of twins. And then she really and then she goes, oh, must not have a TV, huh?
Which is so weird.
It's so weird. Like
what?
It was like the worst joke in the movie. It was just like, what the fuck kind of what kind of comment is that to somebody though? Like that's what had me laughing so hard. I was like, who says that to somebody?
Yeah,
what the fuck is that?
It's super weird.
But then, Evil jimmies his screwdriver again, and it causes the elevator to descend like really fast.
Yeah.
And this, when it comes to a halt, it kind of jostles, both the officer and Blaze enough to like knock them down and almost unconscious. So to speak. And this, the doors open and Evil walks in, kicks the fucking officer across the face, not making sure he's out. And then this is where it gets cringy and creepy, because like you find out in this sequence his intent and his reasoning behind what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he goes up to her first and like tries to give her some comfort, like he's faking giving her comfort, and then he pulls out the recorder from earlier and plays her the fucking clip of the nurse getting murdered.
Yeah.
And that's when she realizes, like, oh shit, this is right here.
Yeah.
And he's like really like, what's funny to me in this scene is that he's really fascinated, or at least he sounds really fascinated by the technology that he's using. He's like, like, instant replay.
it's a miracle of modern technology. Yeah,
it's ridiculous. But yeah, so it's like really funny in a way, like why he's doing this, because he's like, as he explains to her in this scene, he's like, Derek's told me you've been seen with other men. I don't like the way that you make me feel. He basically is like, I don't like the way you make me feel small, and like, basically complains about the same things an incel complains about now. And he says like women are manipulative, deceitful. And there's like a couple others.
Ladies are manipulative, deceitful, immoral, and very, very selfish.
Fucking wanker over here.
And then it gets even like better from there, because he tells her that he killed Yvonne because they've been shortchanging him for years on his allowance.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a motive.
What a motive, dude.
Instead of, being a man and, going out and, working hard for your money, he feels entitled to, the money that his wife has, earned from, building up a radio person. It's ridiculous.
It's so absurd. But like that's the thing though, like the like what works for me about this whole thing is like the way this guy acts, the way he even looks to me, is like, of course this individual is one of those guys. Like,
right, it's true.
And so yeah, it weirdly, it's like a shitty fucking motive character wise, but it works really well with the everything, I think. And yeah, so he then tells her this story, and this is what I was talking about way earlier, where you find out some real motive for like Derek's weird behavior a bit, and that's because Evil tells Blaze the story about how Derek went out and took this audition, not using her name at all, you know, so he could stand on his own 2 feet and blah 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 blah, and he gets the part, and then like she doesn't even fucking like have time to listen to him tell her the news or whatever, you know. Which would be really, as a kid, that would be really frustrating.
But
not enough for me to put red pantyhose over my head and walk around listening to police consultant psychologists.
No,
anyway,
not at all.
So then the switchblade comes out. You know, it was bound to happen at some point. And again, in this scene, I thought that he was gonna, like, you know, this was maybe gonna be it. He was maybe gonna, like, you know, get her or something. But he starts toying with her, and then like realizes the time and is like, it's getting late, and you know. Then it kind of cuts to a couple of officers checking, you know, hotel rooms and doors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, and they are like going through the kitchen. You know, it's just, you know, searching the area and stuff. But then what does he do with Diane?
So it's actually pretty cool. And part of me wishes we almost would have got a payoff.
Oh, yeah.
So he pulls out the handcuffs, you know. He handcuffs one of her hands. He stands her up. He, you know, moves the elevator up to, you know, where the elevator is higher up from them in the elevator shaft. He grabs a chain that's hanging from the bottom of the elevator, wraps it around her neck, and then handcuffs her wrists together to the chain. Tells her that she's going to go all the way up, all the way down, and to enjoy your going away party and to get smashed is what he says.
And
then he fucking heads back to the electrical box. You know, he you know, puts the screwdriver back in and makes it move all the way to the top. You know, and at the top, as she's hanging there, she sees Yvonne's decapitated head, like stuck in a fucking crevice in the wall. And then boom, the elevator starts plummeting again. And while this is happening, there seem to be 2 people that are in the room, or in the elevator, hear her scream. And the guy has a great line. He goes, "There's some funky shit going on in here."
I love it.
And yeah, Richard's watching on as, you know, the couple in the elevator trying to smash the emergency button, and to no avail. And then you hear footsteps approaching, and Richard seems to hear them too. And you're like, what's going to happen here? We see, you know, Lieutenant Clayton and like 6 or 7 cops show up. And then they get in this fucking fire. They get into like a shootout, essentially.
Yeah, dude. It's wild, man. They're like, the cops end up like hitting, they don't hit Richard at all, but they end up like hitting the circuit board, you know, controls that he's been fucking with, which I think, you know, it's what causes the elevator. I think that's why the elevator ends up
for sure
stopping. Okay. And then, you know, the pursuit, like foot pursuit happens. Like Richard takes off and starts running up the stairs, which I've always thought this. I don't know why people run up to the roof in situations.
No shit. Yeah.
I'm always like, what the fuck do you think you're gonna find up there? Like, you got to go down, man. Go down. You can get to the ground level. But anyway, so they're pursuing. I will comment that the shots of Blaze chained on the bottom of the elevator, and when it was like, you know, in motion and stuff, it was actually pretty cool. And that's, I think, what we were talking about earlier, when it was like, you know, it's clever enough and it looks cool enough that it's like, I almost wish you got some sort of, you know, actual, like, there somebody gets smashed. You know,
could you imagine, dude? You would just be turned into fucking hamburger meat. Like,
yeah,
there'd be nothing left of you.
Fucking chopped cheese.
It's very different, but it was sort of reminiscent. It actually happens in 2 different. It happens in an Argento movie, and then it happens in one of the episodes of Masters of Horror that Argento directed. But there's like a very similar scene. And in the Master of Horror, this woman's necklace gets caught to a part of an elevator that's going down, and it fucking beheads her, and it's amazing.
Whoa.
But yeah, So, like you said, they're, you know, we're getting to the climax here, and Richard's running up the stairs. He stops for a second, takes a pot shot, shoots one of the cops. But like you said, like what I love how he gets up to the top and on the roof of the elevator, and then gets this dumbfounded look on his face. But like you said, like what did you expect?
Yeah, dude, like come on, man. But you're right. Like he kind of like looks like, I mean, you almost see like the defeat on his face in a way. Like he's just like, well, I'm fucked now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's when that's when he like pulls out that weird fucking mask again.
Yeah. Puts it on again.
I don't know what this mask is, but it's a creepy looking mask if you ask me. But yeah, he like, the cops end up getting to the roof also. They have their guns drawn on him. They tell him to drop like his weapons and shit, and he like slowly like pulls out not just the pistol that he had, but the switchblade also. He like flicks open the switchblade, if I'm correct, before he drops them.
Yeah.
And then he has like then he quotes like Hamlet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so random.
It's super bizarre, dude.
And but like, to be honest, it makes you like, it seals the deal on like, this dude's fucking crazy. Like,
yeah. Yep.
Like,
and he quote, and he says, to die, to sleep no more, and by sleep to say we end the heartache and the 1,000 natural shocks that flesh is heir to. Yeah, and then he just fucking jumps off the goddamn hotel.
Right? Fucking wild. There's like a shot of him falling, and then and in that shot, I mean, by that I mean like you can tell it's like a stunt, it's like a dummy or something like that by the way it's falling. But it's you see him like, you see him going down, and then you don't see any sort of splat. You just, next thing you know, you're like looking at him on the ground, and the way they show his body contorted, like a little up close, his like one arm is like completely broken behind his back. His head's like kind of sideways. Like, it's actually kind of like a cool look, but clearly he's dead. Even the lead detective guy was like, he like kind of just like, and like puts his gun away, and then now it's just cleanup basically. But then but you still, what's wild is a crowd starts gathering around the body, and I noted that you have shots of officers holding everybody back, so they don't get too close to the body, the dead body. But for some reason, even though they don't know who it is because it still has the mask on, Derek is able to get front and fucking center with the body. He runs up, takes the mask off. It's his dad. He like starts like rubbing his cheek, like on his face. Like, it's wacky if you ask me. But like, the movie does not end right there.
No,
it has a classic kind of ending, if you ask me. What happens from here?
Because he has this like somewhat like creepy embrace with his dead dad, and then we see Diane on a stretcher getting wheeled through the hotel. They wheel her outside, pop her into the back of the ambulance, and then we see that the fucking ambulance driver is Derek, wearing his fucking dead dad's mask with the dead EMT next to him. Right. Ambulance drives off as the like you mentioned earlier, we learned that Honolulu is ringing in the new year, and that's how the movie ends. You're like, oh fuck,
dude, right? Like, I thought that was a sweet ending, honestly. Yeah, dude, it was like, there was like, I mean, this movie was fun. Like, I'll say that it was fun. Some of the things that we saw were kind of cool. I really thought the main character, Evil, he was more hilarious than menacing. But oh man, yeah, I liked it overall. I'm gonna say this. I thought that I was like, where they leave it, I wouldn't be surprised if they had made New Year's Evil sequel, but
Yeah.
I don't think they actually ever did. But
Yeah, I don't think there would have been enough juice for a sequel.
yeah,
But
fair enough.
you know, it was, you know, as far
Derek's
as
Revenge.
as far as like good, like, you know, shock twist endings go, it was pretty solid.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you know, not only was it like that, you know, that very final, like, oh shit, now it's Derek, but you know, even before that, like I was saying, the twist that evil is Richard, you know,
Yeah,
was a good one also. So you get these kind of two sweet plot points there.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, a couple of the kills were like we talked about, were pretty cool. I think, you know, there is like some really funny, like there's some really funny lines sprinkled throughout it. I liked the setting of the drive-in earlier.
Totally.
One of the trailers you could see was being played was Blood Feast. You know, so that was it was cool.
But you know what's funny though is I was reading that that, you know, it says the title Blood Feast, but that wasn't actually footage from Blood Feast. It was footage from another movie, which is super weird. But yeah, a drive-in is always a cool setting, even no matter how brief it was.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, what would you, ratings wise, what would you give this one?
I would give it a somewhat middle of the road 5.5 Eric Estrada parties out of 10.
Yes.
Oh, fuck.
Oh my God, dude.
What about you?
Yeah, you know, I'll give it a solid I'll give it a solid 6 out God damn it, what was that I just said? Oh yeah, I'll give it a solid 6 costume changes out of 10 for sure. Yeah. Because that was one of my favorite parts of the movie, were the fucking costume changes. You know, like it was, like I said, not a scary movie, but definitely an entertaining movie.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Fuck yeah. Well, shit. Yo, this will still be going on by the time this airs. So, you know, not only has this been a fun movie to kind of review, go through, but you've made it to the third round of Faces of Horror, my friend.
Oh shit! I should have plugged that at the beginning. God damn it. Yeah. So at the time of recording, you know, this is Friday, the 23rd. Yesterday, the second round ended, and so the third round ends Thursday the 29th at 8 p.m. So for anyone listening, please go to my Instagram, FitzyD27, FITZY D27, and hit the link in my bio to vote. It's free to vote every day. The third round ends the 29th at 8, and the top 10 in each group move on, and I'm currently number 12 in my group. So I need to move up a couple spots if I'm going to make it to the next round. So if you're listening, please go vote. And
vote. Yeah, man. I mean, it's exciting that you've made it this far. I hope the momentum continues and it can get pushed further and further right to the top.
I agree.
Yeah. So, you know, and along the way, you know, as you give updates, we'll keep posting them on the Old Heart page as well, and that can link you if you need to David's profile with where the link is for that. So get on it, folks. Get on it like a corn dog on a stick.
Oh wow. Jesus Christ.
Yes. Damn, man. Well, I guess that wraps up this episode. But dang all, we'll be back for another one. You just gotta keep tuning in. And, you know, as fall is officially started, most of you, I won't call you posers if you just started watching horror, but, you know.
That's mean, yeah.
It's mean, but,
you gotta start somewhere.
I guess. But once you start, you shouldn't stop. That's my point. And
not
so
at
you
all.
got to keep on doing
Well, that's
it.
the thing. That's the thing is I tell people, there's those, like, I think what you're trying to say
Yes.
is that there's sometimes like a certain group of people that like, only watch horror movies during Halloween, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like people will be like, you're gonna watch some horror movies this Halloween? It's like, fuck, dude, I watch horror movies like every day of my life.
Yeah, dude. Damn right. That's what I mean. The pumpkin spice lattes are flowing. Everybody's watching horror right now. So,
Yeah.
join along with us and make sure you keep up on your films yourself.
Yeah.
But we'll leave it there. Have a good night, folks, or good morning or good afternoon, wherever the fuck you are in your day.
Yep. We'll see you soon.